Yo! Welcome to another episode of Gaming with Mr. C. Guys, and today we have our official hands-on first review of the Xbox Series X. This is real. This is here. That's real. I'm not. Hopefully you are. So let's go ahead and power our dreams. Mr. C. Gaming with Mr. C. So guys, let's go ahead and talk about the design of the console. It is beefy. This bad boy is like having a child, a fat child as that. I've already done an unboxing video where I kind of talk a little bit more about it. It's heavy. It's got this cool little stand at the bottom that does not come off. The cool part is when it sits down, you can't see it here, but it does give about a quarter of an inch to allow airflow to come through here and pop out the top here. And as you've seen those memes, put that down. So overall, to be honest with you, I know there's been a lot of jokes about the actual look of this console. In person, it doesn't look that bad. It's not as intrusive as I thought it was going to be. I actually have it just in between my two monitors here, standing up. It's super quiet, and as you can see, it's about 9 inches to a foot away from me. And I don't hear it, which is incredible. I have actually had this on since 5 p.m. yesterday until 1 o'clock today. So right at 20 hours, and I mean, it's not hot. It does blow out hot air, but it's not hot, which is great. So, I mean, design-wise, I mean, it's more functional than it is eye candy, which is fine, right? Because you want your console to be functional. Not a whole lot has changed on the controller, except for we have the share button right here. Now, I really love the share button. I hate the name of it, obviously, but I love that you can just hit it for a screenshot and hold it for a video. I think that's awesome versus, hitting a button and then saying what you want to do. Form factor, it's about the same. I know they said it's slightly smaller. I don't really notice that. However, I do notice the extra weight to it in the sense that it doesn't feel cheap. It's going to have a little bit more sturdiness to it. The biggest difference that I've noticed is two things. Obviously, we know that the touchpad here has changed, the D-pad. And I was skeptical about it, so I ended up playing Tetris, the new Tetris game, which is on the Game Pass. Because any of you guys who have ever played Tetris know that you have to use the D-pad. And it's actually quite responsive. Matter of fact, guys, also, let me go to put this down and out there. I'm pretty good at Tetris. Don't let this video fool you. Matter of fact, if you want to challenge me in Tetris, hit me up. The gamer tag is Linking Sponge. If you beat me in Tetris, I will on my next episode. If you beat me in Tetris on my next episode, I will say your gamer tag and that you are my Tetris master. However, if I beat you, you have to share a link to my show on your social media. The other thing is here, guys. The other part here, guys, is going to be the grip here. As you can see, the grip kind of stops right here. It's not the whole thing, which is great because it's really only where you would need to grip. There's light grippage on the D-pad. There's light grippage on the triggers and left and right bumpers as well. So overall, I really enjoy the subtle changes to the controller, and that's pretty much what they are. They're subtle changes, nothing drastic here. Matter of fact, overall for the Series X, I really appreciated how they took a more subtle approach to next gen. Hey, we're coming in here for power. We're not coming in here for looks. We're not coming in here so you can record things, so you can snap things. I love those features, but everybody complained about how they weren't about the games, and this time they are. So let's talk about the games, guys. So as you know, there's not a whole lot out exclusively for the Series X right now. You have the Tetris game. You have Bright Memory. There is a flight game of some sort that is out as well. But mostly what you're going to see is a lot of optimized for Series X titles. You have Valhalla, Watch Dogs, NBA 2K, and I actually challenged that on NBA 2K because there's actually two separate versions. There's last gen's version, which is backwards compatible, as most games are on the Series X. Thousands of games, matter of fact. But there's actually a NBA 2K Next Gen version, which is I won't say completely different, but it is built and sold separately. Then you have games like Yakuza, Like a Dragon, which is built for the Series X as well. And then you got Call of Duty, which isn't out yet, so I didn't have time to play that. Now, I did check out Bright Memory, Valhalla. I checked out Watch Dogs. I've played Tetris. I've played Gears Tactics, which is another Series X game. I played Gears 5. I played a lot of different games on this bad boy because I wanted to kind of give you guys a fair review. One of the biggest, there's two big features with the Series X for you guys who do or don't know. One of them is the quick resume feature, which allows you to have up to 12 games going at one time, and you can literally switch from this game to that game to this game to that game, and it goes right back to where you were playing. Now, I've seen a lot of videos of people doing this, and in theory, it sounds amazing. Most people, including myself, not going to play 10 games at once. However, it's a great feature. Now, the biggest problem is thousands of titles it works on right now, and there's a few titles that, for whatever reason, it does not. And Microsoft is aware of this, has disabled it for those titles, and is working on a fix, and one of those games is Watch Dogs Legions. So it's kind of sucks that happened. However, I will say, though, with Watch Dogs Legions and other titles, the biggest difference, the biggest reason right now, outside of graphics fidelity, because it does look amazing, is the load times. And this is massive. And it's so massive that I'm going to probably spend a good portion of this review hands-on talking about it, because there's a lot of things to keep in mind. So this runs off of a 1 terabyte SSD drive. So you have to play it off of the internal storage or one of those memory cards. You could store it on an external drive. However, it needs to be on here to get that full benefit. Matter of fact, Series X games have to run off of that SSD drive. You can still play your Xbox One games off of the external drives, which is fine. But to maximize that experience, put it on the SSD drive. I've already maxed this thing out but keep in mind, NBA 2K is 103 gigs. Call of Duty is 130 gigs. Valhalla, 60. So when you start to look at, GTA, 80. Red Dead Redemption, 80. It adds up quickly. So I'm not talking about just day one, I maxed it out. I mean, I have over 700 titles that are compatible on this thing. So it's very easy to do. But my point is that with the next generation, you have better load times. So I ran through a couple different games here. So the first one I did was Valhalla, which is built for this generation. So as you can see, I got the 1X next to the Series X with the timer. And one of the things that I need you guys to check out here is just how quickly it loads. So you see we're still on the initial screen. Now keep in mind, I'm trying this on the Xbox One X, not the 1S or the One, the original. I'm talking about the top performance you can possibly get out of last generation versus the top performance on this generation. 1:05 was the total time of me actually playing on the Series X. We're 10 seconds farther into the Valhalla on the 1X, and we're still loading. Now, over time, this is going to add up. Now, when you start to think about things like quick resume, this time is going to be cut down even further. Now, the point that a lot of people I don't think realize, and you're going to see this a lot with like Watch Dogs Legion and in Valhalla. Think about when you fast travel in a game and it typically has to load again. Right? Think about in Watch Dogs when you switch in characters, it has to load again. So that adds up over time. You're not only loading the game, but then let's say you want to switch characters or fast travel, it has to load again, which is typically another 45, 60 seconds. Whereas this, it's real quick. So now we got Watch Dogs cold booting here. Now this is a game that I absolutely love, and ray tracing really does up the level of Watch Dogs on the Series X. But one of my issues with Watch Dogs is the fact that every time I fast travel, every time I switch characters, it has to load again. But you could see how much quicker that experience is. I mean, it's almost instantaneous when I switch characters on Watch Dogs. So here we are. We are 54 seconds into loading Watch Dogs on Series X. So total time now, check this out, guys. I thought this was very interesting. 1 minute and 1 second in, I am playing on the Series X, and I'm just to the main menu on the One X. That's incredible. Into the game versus at the main menu. That's a big difference, guys. Now, the next title I'm going to end up showing you guys is a little bit different. It's NBA 2K21. You have NBA 2K21 on last generation that I play on the One X, and then that same version, backwards compatible, I play on the Series X. And then, also on the Series X, I am going to play the next-gen version, the version that is built specifically for the Series X and PS5. So I know a lot of people are going to sit here and talk about next-gen, and yeah, man, but I can play this game on last-gen. I can play that game on last-gen. The graphics don't look that much better. But you got to think about things like this. The amount of time that I'm going to save off of loading alone is almost worth the time. You know what they say, time is money, right? I mean, we are almost a minute and a half longer on the One X. Looks beautiful still. So this is what I was talking about, NBA. So we have the 3 different versions, guys. On the far side here, we have the One X version. We have that One X version on the Series X in the middle, and then we have the next-gen version on the side here. Now, this one intrigued me, and this is very specifically why I showed it. Now, if you guys ever played NBA, you know that there's a lot of loading in this game, and there's different experiences once the game loads, how it actually shows off the game. Now, first off, just off the rip, guys, the fact that on the Series X version of this game, which is on the far side here, I am already in the game, which is incredible to me. Outside of the graphics, because this does look amazing, the games that you play. I've played Valhalla on last gen and on this gen. It does look better. There's a noticeable difference. Same monitor, same game. Watch Dogs Legion, I played 2/3 of the game on the One X, and I'm still playing it on the Series X. Noticeable difference. But then you add the load time into it, and that's really, those two things combined is really a game changer for me. NBA 2K looks incredible. Bright Memory looks good, not amazing. So all in all, guys, I do think that day one that this thing is really worth it, especially when you consider what you've already playing, how much better it looks by just playing it on this. Imagine what they're going to be able to do once they get their hands on it and build strictly for this. I'm talking about your Hellblades, your next Gears, your next Halos, your Forzas. I'm talking about your Elder Scrolls, your Starfield. It's really going to look amazing on this. And keep in mind that they have an infrastructure available that you can play this how you want to play it. If you want to play in 1440, get the Series S. If you want to play in 1080, get the One X. If you want to play full 4K 120 frames VRR, get the Series X. And guess what? The size of the games is compatible to that version. I think that this is built for the future, which I'm very excited about. I mean, look at the giant fan in this thing. This whole thing is a friggin' fan. I feel like I can put these things strapped to my shoulders and take off into outer space. And guess what? The technology is probably in there for me to do it. Overall, I don't necessarily think that the controller and the UI feels next-gen, but what does feel next-gen is the games, the load, the graphics. Now we just need some first-party games to go with it. So let me know what you guys think if you've had a chance to unbox yours. Hopefully I'll have a PS5 info for you guys soon. Peace and love.
Gaming with Mr. C. 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 Gaming with Mr. C.